these are really good seats.
All right, welcome everybody to the Brony Animator panel. All these people, as you see before, are all, of course, Brony animators. They all have made large amounts of Brony animations. This is Frigid Drift. He also runs a Tumblr, Ask Frigid Drift. And this is Kanashi Panda. And this third person is Galaxy Art. And then we also have Snap Eye.
Hello.
Our head panelist, Zedrin.
Hello, everyone.
And then the vinyl hat, we have Dialect. And last, but certainly not least, Brony Dance Party at the end. All right, we're gonna play a demo reel for you. This demo reel has about 15 seconds of each of their pieces of work, and at the very end, we're gonna premiere a new animation. Sounds is only playing from over here. Plug in.
What do you like? Audio on 3.
So yeah, actually, is there audio? Okay. So actually, Dialect here actually has a new animation that we're gonna show next. Actually, so if we could get that pulled up. Yeah, sorry about the blackout.
Oh, yes, I'd love to play a private concert for you. Karen.
Ah! Final! Hey, you killed the wubs!
Vinyl, please. Don't wash the dishes so loudly.
Oh, come on. It's like the best way to wake up in the morning. You should be thanking me.
But Vinyl.
And I made you a sandwich. So I guess that makes 2 thank yous, Yami.
What? But I. Thank you, Vinyl. We're still going to have to talk about the dishwasher after I'm done. It's good, but something tastes off.
Auntie, you should see your face. Oh, I didn't think I put that much on there. Oh, I forgot. They said they're turning the water off for a few hours. Some pony let something loose in the water or something.
Kill you, Mark Crusader water purifiers!
Oh yeah, I also forgot to tell you we need more milk. And food. oh man, this is the best. Not bad.
So yeah, Flash animation, it's fun. Anyway. I guess why don't we just go down the list and just tell you guys a little bit about what specifically we've done in the fandom. Let's start with you, Joe.
Hey guys, how's it going? I'm Brony Dance Party, and I do like PMVs, music videos. If you haven't seen any, like Rainbow Factory, PMVs for 20% Cooler, and Awoken. I know our newest one is Great to Be Different. And actually, I know he was saying Flash animators, but I'm going against the grain here, and I'm an After Effects animator, actually. So we've been trying to learn how to do that in a very weird way. So yeah.
I'm D.I. Leak, or Diliac, and I've animated a whole bunch of stuff, but it wasn't all under my name. It was more like stuff like Double Rainboom, some parts in there. I look to get a lot more animations out in the future, but for now I just have what you saw. And I animate in Adobe Flash CS6 and Adobe Flash Creative Cloud, and I do my vectors in Illustrator.
I'm Zedrin. I'm actually the head animator behind Silly Philly Studios. I've done a lot of work on Snowdrop as the creative director behind that, as well as head animator. I've also animated Daylight's End. I did a good portion of Donut Steel, and let's see what else. Also, if you were actually at the SFS panel on Friday, recently we premiered a new animation, or a trailer for a new upcoming animation known as Fall of the Empire, which if you haven't seen that yet, go check it out on YouTube when you can. It looks really cool.
I'm Snapeye, and I did animated Low Flyer, Beep Beep, Liar Vader, you know those three. I also did several scenes for Double Rainboom, and hope to have some animations out soon that are a little bit longer and not just endless loops that get stuck in your head for 3 months straight.
I'm Galaxy Art. I've done a couple of animations, such as My Little Pony Eternity's End, Unacceptable, The Pony on Unexpected Journey. And I worked at Double Rainboom along with Snapeye here and DI Leaks as well. And Young Guy. There you are. I'm sure we have more Double Rainboom people in the audience. But I've also done Stay Brony My Friends intro, along with some stuff for Sim Gratina and Eiley Monty.
Alright, what's up? Is this on? Hello.
Switch
Alright.
on?
Wait, so it is on.
It doesn't sound like it's on.
Speak up.
There we go. Hello. All right, sup, you guys? I am Kanashi Panda, or Kanashi Panda if you want to get all Japanesey. Means sad panda. And it's either because I'm the super emo guy or it's a South Park reference, and I've had like 3 of them in my animation. So take your pick. I am sort of the token frame-by-frame guy on this panel, I guess. I did stuff like the Once Upon a Time in Canterlot, Do-Do-Do song. Well, the ones in the compilation were my favorites. And, well, I like frame-by-frame because I'm a masochist at heart, so... Yeah, you know. Here you go.
Thanks.
No problem.
Hey guys, I'm Frigid Drift from the Ask blog Ask Frigid Drift on Tumblr. I've done a few YouTube animations that you've seen up there, as well as a whole bunch of smaller animations that I do in the form of animated GIFs, which I like to input into my Tumblr posts. Sometimes they could be like 3 or 5 seconds long, just to make it a little bit more interactive and a little bit more motion in the static Tumblr feed.
Sweet.
Yeah, I think I'm done.
All right.
Pretty good.
All right. Well, that's everyone.
So yeah, generally a lot of people often have questions about Flash animation. So if you guys have any questions at all, I guess we can just get right on to Q&A and such. So if anybody has questions, Zeta's going to walk around with a microphone and see what you guys have to say.
Since there's a lot of you guys, if you guys have any questions, go ahead and start forming a line over here. Just kind of go that way, along the wall. All right. So our first, what's your question?
I just wanted to ask, like, how much experience have you guys had with this, and how long have you been doing it, and sort of what advice you'd give to someone just starting out?
Who wants to start on this one?
All right. Let's go down the line. Let's go down the line. Start with Joe.
All right. I mean, I had about a few years of practice before I even started doing pony animations. And I guess my best advice for somebody who's just starting, just try and learn the fundamentals of a program. Don't look up a single tutorial on how to do one specific thing. Try and get a good understanding of the basics of the program. Because if you go straight for some super special effect, you're digging yourself into a hole and you're not learning the fundamentals of the program. So, yeah.
I've been animating for about 1.5 years now. The Brony community is the reason why I started animating. And before then, I did a whole bunch of vector work, and that really helps with the animation process, considering Flash uses all vectors most of the time. And some advice that I would give is that if you're going to try to start animating, you'd really want to start with something really small and then work your way up to larger projects, because if you start right off the bat with large projects, you're going to get really discouraged and you're going to wish you hadn't started animating.
I've also been animating for about 1.5 years myself. If anybody's actually seen it, my very first Flash animation featured Rarity driving a giant M1 Abrams tank.
Really?
Also featured the Prodigy in that. But biggest advice I can give is learn how the program works, kind of like what Joe said. This applies for both Flash and After Effects. Flash really getting started is honestly 50% of getting started is really just figuring out how to work the program and figuring out what a symbol is, what a nest is, all that kind of stuff. And then from there you can start working on the animation principles. But you can figure out how the program works in about an hour. There's plenty of tutorials on how to figure that out.
I've actually been animating for quite a while, but I just started doing Flash animation about 2 years ago. And in addition to working on the fundamentals and learning the programs, just animate a lot, because there's nothing better than practice doing it to get better at doing animation. That's about it.
within the coming week, I believe, I'll be having my 1-year anniversary. Not really an anniversary, but it's been a year since I started animating. The way I did it was that I just jumped head into it. I wanted to be a part of Double Rainbow, but I didn't know how to animate.
Well.
So I just started animating and sent in my puppet test to Zachary Rich, the director of Double Rainbow, and he slowly told me to be a better animator. So if you just animate, keep on animating, and you'll become a better animator.
All right, I've been going for like a year and a half. And as far as advice goes, I'd say, you know that thing you call a social life? You don't really need that. I mean, yeah, because like, it takes a lot of time. I'll stop there.
Got to be a little bit of a masochist like he is.
I've been using Flash for about almost 8 years, but I haven't been like doing large projects at all. I've been kind of learning around the program itself. I've been teaching myself all the parts of Flash, like programming with ActionScript, trying to make a few little games. I've got a game in the works for about half a year. It was supposed to come out half a year ago. But yeah, little animations and stuff, real cool. Let's see, but I've been, yeah, like with All Good Things, Ponies began my great rebirth into the animation community. God bless ponies.
All right, thank you. What is your question?
Sup, brothers?
Hello.
You okay stay hammerjang when you do like that?
What was that?
You know, the kind.
Nah, bro, I stick at the best chair.
Yeah.
What? What did he say?
This is a technical question for Kanashi Panda, but it can go for you guys too, because you deal with the frames in the Flash. Have there ever been a time when you had problems with the proportions between frames and keyframes, and what's the best determination of how to fix that if you ever have too many frames or too less frames, and trying to fix them up and make them clean?
Like cleaning up line work and stuff, or that's a good one. Reverb always works. But mainly, I just kind of keep redoing it until it starts looking nice, and it just takes a lot of time and just going over it. Yeah, that's about it. Just learn to draw consistent and all that. Yeah.
So from the perspective of a director or a scriptwriter or someone who's trying to get an animation project going, how do they find you?
Honestly, it's kind of hard to, finding an animator who's willing to help is kind of the hardest part. You kind of need a little bit more than just a script. If you can have a few storyboards prepared, that generally helps a lot. If you can get some audio recorded, maybe get a few seconds of dialogue recorded and such to kind of go along with the script. Animators, we often have our own projects that we're a part of as well, so it's kind of hard to pull us away from those and such. But it's definitely possible, though.
You gotta make it like a sales pitch. I mean, get us interested in it.
Yeah, keep in mind when you're asking an animator to animate a script, whether it be a few minutes or an episode or something like that, keep in mind you're asking us to basically devote several months to a year of our work to your project. So you're going to need to generate that much interest.
We get asked to animate a whole lot every single day. What you have to do is try to get your pitch up above what we've already gotten for the past week or so.
Yeah, that's why doing even if you can get some kind of storyboards done or some kind of even an animatic made in like, even if it's in like Movie Maker or something, that's still more than what most people do, where they just kind of send, hey, can you just animate my OC like for free? I want you to make a 15-minute animation featuring my OC for free.
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize that between script and animation, there's usually a storyboard phase where you have the entire action, everything drawn out, like 40 drawings a page to define what's going to happen before the animator ever touches it. So.
Everything these guys said.
Hi. I'm actually trying to start animation, puppeting animation, mostly because I suck at drawing. And literally, if I draw something, I can't draw something if I want to keep the balance of the universe safe. So I was surprised that we really need to do an animatic. I saw that in every tutorial I've seen, you need to do an animatics. So is there an alternative to hand-drawn animatics? Because I'm really not that good.
Well, I suppose you could use vectors you find online and move them around. It wouldn't look too good, but you wouldn't have to draw.
Or you could make your own vectors.
Use the pony creator.
Oh, God, no. Don't listen to him. He's mad.
It'll work out for you, trust me. You won't go wrong.
Even if you don't like your art now, you will still want to work on drawing, even if you're never going to show anyone, because that builds your ability to take what's in your head and make it on the screen. I mean, it'd just be loose stick figures for an animatic will work. As long as you have the idea of what you want.
Really though, when it comes to vectoring and such, vectoring can actually be done with the mouse just fine. It's a lot more of a technical process as opposed to a hand-drawn process. So if you wanted to do like puppet animation and making assets, just learn how to vector and such. Learn how to use Illustrator or learn how to even vector in Flash, even if it's a little bit more tedious. But that's definitely totally possible. Inkscape is also a free vector program that you can use. I would recommend those.
I understand that animation takes a long time to produce.
Yeah, you would know.
It's very tedious. So I was wondering if you ever heard of a program called Go Animate.
Yeah, it's great.
They have a
Go
feature
Animate
that
is an excellent program that we will be using for all our future
Yes.
animations with click and drag.
you should use that along with Pony Creator, and that would be a much faster process.
Next PMV, that's what I'm gonna do.
I've heard that's what DHX does. So.
Yeah, this just in, everybody's interested in quantity over quality, so we're going to switch over to Go Animate, all of us.
The easy-to-use drag and drop animation tool. Oh, by the way, if you're over 18 and can hear curse words, there's a great animation on YouTube by Harry Partridge about Go Animate and why we're making fun of it.
My question was about for all the Flash animators. How do you organize your rigs, or how do you organize your symbols within symbols within symbols?
I think that actually varies between each animator. For me, I try to keep my nests, like whenever you have a symbol inside a symbol, it's known as a nest. I try to keep my nests like no more than like 2 or 3 layers thick, maybe. Like you maybe go into the main build. I actually use a plugin called New Anim Clip, which is also known by other names as the Pringle, which allows you to kind of compress your timeline into a single movie clip. And you can kind of use that to combine all your animations that you've made on the main timeline to keep it organized. So you got that nest, go inside, got all the body parts have their own nest, and the head has its own nest. And then inside the head you have the eyes and such. I think the furthest down I go is actually just into the pupils and such.
For your question, hold on. Let me think of a way to say this. I am not very organized when it comes to Flash symbols and all that, and I've had the effects of everything just kind of disappearing randomly every time I'd open it up. So as someone who's experienced that, I can say you really need to make sure that everything is organized, or else stuff will start going haywire.
Make sure every symbol, even if it's in a different folder in Flash, has a separate name, because Flash does not recognize those folders on the stage, and it will say, oh, you meant this symbol over here. And yeah, he had half of his rigs disappearing every time he saved the file for that.
Bless you.
Hey guys, I'm Fun64, and this is going to be my first year I'm actually animating. I started out animating in Photoshop. I was wondering if any of you guys know any little tricks on that.
Sorry, animating in
Photoshop.
I think me and Frigid both have the most experience with GIF animation, actually. It's kind of a similar process. It's actually a lot smoother than animating in Photoshop. If you can animate in Photoshop, you'll probably do just fine. In Photoshop, you have to have a different layer for every single frame, whereas in Flash, you have both frames and layers, so you don't have to worry about constantly having to make a new layer and then silence it from or hide it from all the other layers, etc. It goes a lot smoother, but if you have the basics down in Photoshop, it's probably not too hard to transition over.
I'd like to add that GIF animation is based on colors. So the more colors you have, the lower the quality your GIF is actually going to come out in the end. So if you're using like 5 or up to 20 is a good number of different colors. Like background has like 4 colors, and then the character has like 3 colors. That'll make your GIF animation look really smoothly, especially vector programs like Flash and Illustrator. If you're importing anything in, I definitely say import it into Illustrator first, and you'll get the fewest amount of colors for your animation GIF.
One other thing that I would recommend, this is just in regards to exporting, but Flash really is not very good for exporting GIFs and such if that's what you're planning on making. Just like a small little note, if you do want to make any GIFs, render them as a PNG sequence and then load that into Photoshop, because Photoshop has some pretty good compression and such, I'm sure you know.
I'd like to add to the GIF for Flash publishing for GIFs. I found a great way. If you're trying to export movie as an animated GIF, that will lower your quality a lot more than rather just going into published settings and then messing with the specific amount of colors there's a lot more options in the published settings than there is in just export movie.
My question is, what is your most favorite animation that you did not get involved in?
Overall, or just in like pony fandom?
My favorite personally would probably be the recent release, Children of the Night.
Yes.
Partially, not just because it was just a good animation, but they also were one of the first guys to show that you can do some really cool effects by combining Flash and After Effects, like if you're doing some clever layering and such. And so I actually kind of borrowed a lot of borrowed some of their methods and such in more of my recent animations. So like mine have more of like a 3D effect than more some soft shading and such. What about you guys?
I think for me the probably anything that Zedrin's worked on, since I've always been, we're always talking about our projects, but I've always got my own ones that I'm working on. So.
My favorite is probably Once Upon a Time in Canterlot, which Kanashi right here did. The Octavia fighting changelings. Probably the best I've seen.
Frame by frame, you can never go wrong with it.
Yeah, I'm also fans of all these guys.
I'll agree with Galaxy Art and say that Once Upon a Time in Canterlot was my favorite animation that I haven't gotten involved in.
Would it be bad if I said TROY?
I wouldn't say that. So he's chill.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding though. Yeah, it would probably be something from like Silly Philly Studios. I really do look up to them.
Okay, this is probably an unpopular opinion, but I watched Dust Dawn like 17 times, and I'm not even being sarcastic when I say I like it. Like the entertainment value of it was really high. Like I'm gonna stop there.
All right, Kanashi Pandy also has my heart with 2 of his most recent animations. One is unreleased. I've been seeing a lot of it. You know the one. And then his other one with Iron Will. That's also one of my favorites.
Luckily, he taught you. Luckily, he was the one teaching you guys how to swim, because you would otherwise be drowning in his manual layers.
On average, how long does it take to produce 1 minute of an animation?
1 minute, I would say 1 minute of animation. If you're working quickly, you can get 1 minute done in about 2 weeks' time, maybe. Even like 2 weeks' time, maybe. Even less time if you're willing to stay up late, but it also depends really on how detailed it is. Just as some comparisons, Snowdrop, which was 14 minutes, wound up being 6 months worth of work, for example.
I think it depends on how much Red Bull you have on hand.
Yeah. Red Bull and Adderall.
Red Bull and Adderall, the best combo.
What about you guys? How long does it take you?
Well, for me, a minute is about a week's worth if I really sat down and dedicated myself to it. But that's if I were to recycle everything and not making anything new. But if I was sitting down with a fresh animation, it'd probably take a little bit more than a week.
All right, a minute of animation for me is about maybe 2.5 months. And that's going really fast and making the lines all sketchy. Yeah, that's frame by frame in a nutshell.
All right, a minute for me. If I lowered the quality about negative 1,000%, I think I could do about a minute of animation in 20 seconds. It would be the most entertaining box you've seen move across that screen.
I'm pretty sure a minute of animation would probably take me about the same time as the other guys working in Flash, but it would also take me about 3 months to get around to doing that 2 weeks on that minute of animation.
Keep in mind, if you're also counting in asset creation and stuff, and you're not just reusing old stuff, it takes a lot longer, like Joe said.
For me, that animation up there was 2 minutes, and that took 6 months with 3 animators. The first third of the animation took 5 months, and then I realized, hey, I wanna show this at BronyCon. So for the past week, I worked and got the last 2/3 done.
Animation consumes your life.
I noticed some of you are working with Flash, and also some of you are working with After Effects, and I wanted to know what was the difference in the learning curve, and which do you prefer to use? And also, do you apply any of your work to games, and if so, what's a simple gaming thing to start off with, a gaming program?
Wow. I think if you're comparing Flash and After Effects, if you want to, I guess for pony animations, if we're sticking with that, I think you can still pull them off. You're just taking 2 very separate routes. Learning curves, I have no clue which one's more difficult to use.
I've used both, and personally, I'm not very good with After Effects, so I might be a little bit biased, but I do think that After Effects does have a bit steeper of a learning curve. Ultimately, Flash does give you a lot more minute control over what you're doing in the animation and such. I prefer Flash strongly. It's a lot easier to work with. I do know that, for instance, Two Snacks, who does the Two Best Sisters play, he managed to actually make a full rig in After Effects, and it actually works really smoothly for him. He gets to animate the entire thing on a single layer, whereas us, when we want to animate something, we have to have every single body part on a different layer. So one puppet can wind up taking 16 to 26 layers and such. Then, anyone have anything to add, or games question? I know Frigidrift has done stuff with games.
Oh, yeah. Well, let's see. I've had some experience with a Game Maker 6, or I don't know if it was 6. It was one of the Game Maker programs. It's sprite-based. You can program it with the arrow keys. It's kind of a little bit basic. I think with Flash you have a lot more open world to work with. You can, rather than being open world, you can create the whole world from scratch. You can create a FPS game, well, very, very basic FPS game. You could do an adventure game, card game. You can really do anything you want because ActionScript is really limitless. If you can master the program, you can master your imagination and really do anything you really want to.
Hey, Zed.
Hey.
This is more of a technical question. It depending on the puppet set, and is there a difference in frame rate for a scene, or?
Generally, the best frame rate to animate at is 24 frames per second for Flash, because that gives you a high enough speed to where it will look smooth, but at the same time, doing 30 frames per second, that's getting a little much on the detail, so you'll have to animate even more frames on that. So I'd recommend just keeping it at 24 frames per second. You can change it if you need, but there's not really too much of a point sometimes.
Thank you.
All right, this is a question for Panda. How did you come up with the idea of Once Upon a Time in Canterlot being a fighting scene, and how did you come up with the name?
Okay, well, first the name. That was actually it's based on the old Once Upon a Time in China, but that's about all it has in common with it. It's just the name. The idea was, I was actually talking to Joe the Loaf, and if you saw that one 15-second really sketchy fight animation, like we were joking about setting it to smooth jazz or something, and then like I started swapping songs out, and I just eventually got to his, and yeah, no, it just kind of rolled from there. So, wait, did I hit everything? Or okay, awesome. I like your shirt. Yeah.
All right, so I was wondering, are you guys like aware of Newgrounds? And if so, who's your favorite animator from there? Because there is a lot of good guys.
I haven't been on Newgrounds for the longest time, but Legendary Frog was my all-time favorite.
That's a
animator.
long time ago. He's been done much stuff. I would recommend like Harry Partridge, Oni.
Actually, on the note of Oni NG, he's actually made some really, really good tutorials and such, which they're actually how I got started in Flash, which Oni NG, Chris O'Neill, his Flash tutorials are called Baby Steps in Flash. They really show you kind of the basics of how to navigate the program. If anybody's trying to get started in Flash, I'd really recommend those tutorials. I know that Harry Partridge has also done some tutorials as well.
And there's like guys like Zaya Rule and Hot Diggity Demon came from there. I knew him way before he got into Ponies. But there's a lot of good animators on there, and I recommend like checking them out.
I'm somebody who's just trying to get started in animating, and I see these really beautiful keyframes, and I'm wondering, how is it that you get from these keyframes to actually starting to put the animation between them?
Well, there's two ways to do it. You can either do, I personally try to use a combination of both ways. You can basically apply just a tween, which causes it to translate from point A to point B. There's actually a Flash plugin known as the Jan Animations tool. It's not, or Jan Animations tool. It's not related to the animator Jan in the fandom. Totally unrelated. But it's a plugin that actually allows you to apply eased tweens with just the press of a button, which is really convenient. The other method is, of course, to do it frame by frame. Like Dilea does that a lot, I know, and you can do that every one frame or every 2 frames, or even mix it up a little bit to get some varied motion. But it kind of just depends on what you have a preference for. If you do frame by frame, you have a lot more minute control. If you use tweens, you have to pay attention to easing, but you can make things. It goes a little bit faster, and sometimes the time you can save can be really significant.
And even if you're using tweens, if you're using them correctly, you will be doing a lot of frames between your key poses. Both Beep Beep and Lyrivator are tweened animation, but there are keyframes in those tweens every 3 frames or so. That's keeping their motion fluid rather than looking like they're a robot.
I would expect that like frame by frame would be like really tedious. So how long would it take to make like 1 frame?
Let's see. Well, there's hand-drawn frames. Like Kanashi, how long does it take you to completely draw and color in 1 hand-drawn frame by frame?
I don't know. It depends on the shot, really. Like maybe.
Maybe 10 minutes or so.
Yeah, maybe 10 minutes to like 2 hours.
Depends on how you do
One
it.
of those.
Yeah.
It varies.
Meanwhile, for doing puppet-based stuff, if you have the background already in there and putting the character in there, it's really a lot of kind of drag and drop. You just pull it from your library, position it how you want, swap out a few of the parts where you need them, and then you just apply it. You just apply the keyframe there. You just basically just keep going through, and it really kind of just varies on per shot. Really, doing the scenery is a lot more tedious than putting the character in, to be honest.
Hi, so I haven't done any animation myself, but I'm kind of looking to get into it and stuff. And what I was looking for was
basically some milestones that I could look for. Maybe, I'm sure the first animation something really silly and maybe dumb, but as you're going through it, you know, when do you think you got your first good animation? How much time did that take you? Weeks, months, year? I don't know. And then,
I know your first step is getting a computer and an animation program. After that, I guess milestones could be like simple GIF animations, maybe something like that, but.
It's pronounced GIF.
No, it's not. It's GIF, it's a G.
No, choosy animators choose GIF.
Creamy.
But yeah, GIFs are generally a good way to, are kind of a good starting point. Also doing something, like if you can get something published with like some basic sound, like that's actually synced, like maybe a quick little dialogue piece, just like small things like that, then like eventually you'll move on and you'll be able to make like a loop animation or something that's you can actually publish, maybe even like post it on YouTube if you want. And just a little note, there's actually a free program out there actually from Newgrounds known as Zwivel. If anybody wants to Zwivel. It's a Flash exporting program that actually, if you want to publish anything as a video, I would seriously recommend checking it out. It's just called Zwivel. But,
All right, here comes trouble. No.
Okay.
All right, so I want to know, what are some of the more unusual, ridiculous requests that you've gotten people asking you to do?
Oh, boy.
All right, who wants to start?
Okay. I had someone on DeviantArt offer me, I think it was about $20 to make a 3-minute animation of their OC being turned into a werewolf in the Everfree Forest by the moon. That's going to take me months.
I got a request to do a full-length movie about this guy's OC getting married to Twilight Sparkle. And the idea was lovely. No hate to that guy. No.
I know somebody wanted me to make them an animation off of a Klopfic they wrote.
Oh my gosh.
No, not doing it.
I haven't had that many strange requests besides the
Consider
ones
yourself
that-
blessed.
Yeah. Besides the ones that are just really long, like, can you animate this hour-long movie for me? And I just stop reading there.
Would anyone like to make some really strange requests?
I got one request one time. There's a few of them, but one that just sticks out to me. Somebody, he asked me to do like a StarCraft MLP crossover, and he wanted it to be like a 2-hour movie, and he wanted to do, this is where it got really weird. He wanted it to be funded by like a Kickstarter campaign, which there's a ton of IP complications with that, considering the IPs are owned by Blizzard and Hasbro, and that was just a little odd. And then, of course, there's also other animations like animate my OC Bloodbolt, the black and red alicorn who's killed Celestia.
But you did that.
Don't even get me started.
Oh yeah, donuts. Yeah, yeah. I actually did wind up taking. My team actually did wind up taking a few of the requests and actually compiled them into an animation known as Donut Steel.
Don't steal.
Original character, Donut Steel.
Recently, the Sonic fandom has been hunting me down.
Oh, gosh.
Please don't give my name out to them.
I actually don't get very many requests. I think one of the strangest was, or not strangest, hour and a half frame by frame movie. Yeah. Yeah.
Just on a technical side, I've had people ask me to make them phone apps and games, and I don't code. I draw pictures, and it doesn't quite work.
I was wondering if Kanashi Panda is ever, after they're done with the project for Fall of the Empire, if you're going to come out with any more fighting animations, because my dream is to animate a sort of, like, keep characters being the
Well, I definitely say that there's a possibility for me. Almost all of Kanashi's stuff has been action-based. This is actually Fall of the Empire is actually my first time actually being able to do action and such, an action-based script. So I'm actually really excited for that one, and I'm definitely going to hope to do so in the future as well, pony or not pony. But either way.
And yeah, I'm planning to continue. I'll be more along the lines of that Canterlot thing. Maybe try chasing, try some Grimdark and lose all my subscribers. You know.
What's so bad with Grimdark, dude?
Well, I mean, Grimdark is it's
In the
hard
Rainbow Factory.
Yeah.
Yeah, watch out, Kanashi. You won't lose any subscribers. You'll just steal Joe's.
No.
First off, I want to apologize. I don't actually have a real question. My brain's too fried after 3 days of this. But I was showing a bunch of you guys' animations, especially the Fallen Empire thing was awesome to a friend of mine last night. And I woke up with an image in my head. I was like, I got to tell the animators in case they want to try this. PMV idea. Chrysalis singing Sweet Nothings, sung by Florence Welsh. I just thought I'd throw that out there to see if you guys like it, because now I can't get it out of my freaking head.
All right.
Did you like it? Do you like the idea?
Maybe. I don't really do many PMVs personally. The only one I've ever done has been Daylight's End, and that was more of a. That was just more because I'm a huge League of Legends fan, which I see a Teemo hat over there.
Teemo is the biggest faggot.
It had to be. Damn it, Teemo.
Good afternoon.
Hello.
My question is, I do animations and I am lazy as hell. How do you stay motivated to do your animations for the weeks or the months that you have to do them?
That is 20 milligrams of Adderall in the morning.
For me, what I found to be the best to finish long animations or just any animation in general is break it down into really, really small parts and then animate them one at a time so it doesn't look like such a large project and you feel overwhelmed.
Yeah. One thing that actually can work out pretty well, and Double Rainbow, like I actually wasn't on Double Rainbow, but they were kind of the first one to kind of make the, to actually show this method in to the fandom. Do it shot by shot and such, like make each different shot like a different flash file, or even just a few shots a different flash file for like, if it's like a 2 to 5 minute project or so, it'll just make things a lot more manageable and you can kind of just get through it a little bit better.
In my case, hanging out online with a lot of other animators helps, because I'll stop working on my work and then they'll publish something amazing and I'm like, darn it, I've got to get back to and actually do something.
Yeah, I'm pretty much the same. I grew up with 2 brothers, so I grew up in a rather competitive environment. And watching other guys' stuff inspires me to keep on doing my stuff. Sounds psychological. I don't know.
Yeah, pretty much the same as those two, except I tend to lock myself in the room a lot more and not eat until I get certain scenes done. I just kind of forget.
Yeah. Breaking it down into different parts is like, what helps me is by focusing on the different parts, like script writing. Well, I'll finish the whole script and I'll be like, okay, this is fun, but when I get tired of script writing, I'm gonna be like, what's there to do? Let's try drawing something. So I start with drawing the storyboard, and then the storyboard is like, it's okay, but let's line it and color it, and then you have to shift. What I do is I shift perspective. Is like I start something fresh, even though it's the same thing, or sometimes it's a different project. But the thing you have to watch out for is starting too many projects, and then you get a little overwhelmed, and then you don't do any of them.
Yeah. Also, if you have a bunch of friends that are bored, or you're good enough, you can draw an audience. Live streaming is great because you can't do 2 minutes of animation then go play half an hour of Team Fortress 2.
Also, another good thing is to set deadlines for yourself. Don't set them to a point where they like drive you insane, but set little deadlines on when you want to have certain parts of it done, and try to keep it small. If you have like a really big deadline for like a huge project, like say you're making a 10-minute animation, and you have like a deadline set in 6 months from now, I can guarantee that you're not going to be animating until the last month, and then you're going to be pulling your hair out and such. So, all right, who's next?
The funniest pony-related video we've ever seen?
Recently, my personal favorite would be Iron Will's swim seminar. It's beautiful, man. Kanashi, you're beautiful.
Thanks. You're beautiful too.
And the other one you're working on is pretty funny.
Oh, God.
Thanks.
What about you guys? Anyone? Oh, yep. Flufflepuff Adventures is also really good as well. Pink fluffy unicorns dancing.
For me, I think it would be the Grand Galloping Collab, which is a giant collaboration of YouTube poops.
Those are always great.
It would probably have to be something from the anthology series. One of those little clips in there. I can't name one off the top of my head right now, but yeah.
You guys can't think of anything off the top of your heads?
Nothing that hasn't been mentioned.
No.
The one that you did with the rainbow dash with the bulging eyes.
Unacceptable!
Yeah, that. Is it cheating to name my own?
Yeah. I guess next question.
Next.
I guess.
Or-
I was wondering if you had any thoughts on Source Filmmaker as an animating tool. That's the 3D animation and rendering program. If you've ever thought about working in that medium or what place that might have to work.
Actually, on the note of Source Filmmaker, what I actually got started in several years back is I actually did very loose 3D animation and such. So like, I think Source Filmmaker definitely has its merits and such. It's not going to really be able to make the same kind of stuff as Flash. But like actually there was actually an animation that was made a few months back where it was like a Source Filmmaker animation of Rainbow Dash basically zipping through the canyons, and it had some really cool camera angles and camera shots. That was one of the coolest things that I've seen, and that was done in Source Filmmaker, for instance.
Yeah, we've actually run into a fair number of Source Filmmaker animators out here. And I definitely like the work that's done Source Filmmaker a lot better than Gmod because it actually has the ability to animate. And personally, I've worked with Maya before, so I'd probably jump into that or Blender to do 3D animations. I would like to see more, I would have loved to see the Source Filmmaker animators do a panel at one of these cons, though.
Well, I'm learning. Maybe I can someday.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. What about you guys?
We're animators. We love other animators. We like people who are as crazy as we are. Like the guy holding the microphone over there now.
A question for Panda. You animated Iron Will being a giant, buff, shirtless Minotaur so well. Are you planning on making that your specialty in the future?
Iron Will
Animating
animation.
giant, buff, shirtless men.
Well,
this is a PG panel, right? Oh, okay, just double checking. I may or may not be doing one that involves less than half-naked men wearing spandex. Yeah.
Is there slow motion walking involved?
Oh yes, there's quite a bit of that.
I'd also love to see someone do like some hand-drawn traditional 2D animated crossovers between Transformers and ponies or something like that.
As a Flash animator, I sometimes catch some flack for using motion tweens instead of doing it frame by frame. So this is kind of a matter of personal preference. Do you think something gets lost in using motion tweens for everything, like the eyes and the mouths, instead of just doing it frame by frame?
Actually, there are a few detractors to using motion tweens. Motion tweens definitely are usable. Like they actually can, for some cases, they're actually more useful than normal tweens if you want to have like singular objects. The hard part is that if you make a motion tween layer, you can't do a traditional tween on that layer. Say if you need a really simple movement where you have a lot more minute control of the easing.
Are you talking about the motion tweens that were in Flash 8 through, I think, CS2, or the current motion tweens? Because
there's classic tweens.
I'm talking about the new ones that were like in CS5.
Okay.
There's motion tweens and classic tweens. I would honestly recommend avoiding motion tweens if you don't need to use them. They can definitely be useful for several things, but classic tweens they're just really stable and really easy to use, and you can get little bit easier transitions. But yeah, they're still usable though. Motion tweens are definitely still usable though. Like they really can't give you too much flack for that.
Thank you. That will settle a lot of arguments.
Yeah. No problem.
This is directed towards Joe. I got a question from Artsy, I'm pretty sure you know. She wanted to know how you animate pistons.
Get out.
Hi, this question is for Galaxy Art. I want to know how much time did the little unacceptable animation take?
Huh. Well, no time at all. It's one of the videos that I've spent the least time on, which got the most fame out of all of them.
That's it.
No, it was still an animation, so it took more than 10 minutes. But
Probably
I
a
don't
few
know.
hours.
I'd say 2 hours, I think. Yeah. And it's just a couple of seconds, so that kind of tells you about the work that goes down into animation.
Honestly,
no matter how strange they are.
Honestly, when it comes to Flash, if you're looking to gain like a following or something, sometimes it can honestly be better to just do a lot smaller projects because people can watch them multiple times, give you multiple views on them, and also there's much less of a commitment where if you have like a major animation, you need to rely that people are going to sit all the way through it and such.
All right. Even though some of you guys happen to know me, there are 2 questions. Well, one, I think Snapeye remembers, like someone asked, how do you manage a crew? And so I was aiming for Zedrin, like, how do you manage a crew?
Really, well, Silly Philly Studios is really kind of a different kind of crew compared to a lot of other groups. We're more of a family, to be honest. When we first got going, it was under another project name, and we kind of actually did like a normal standard recruiting thing where we tried to keep it all professional. We had the chat wound up kind of getting a little more started treating each other more like family rather than coworkers and such. And so when that group kind of splintered apart, we all just formed up together because we were all friends by that point, and we wanted to just stick together and keep animating together. So really that's kind of how that played out. Meanwhile, Double Rainbow, for instance, I actually wasn't on that team, so maybe Snapeye and Galaxy Art and Dahlia can expand on this a little bit. But they're organized a lot more organized than Silly Philly Studios is, to be honest, because they also have a lot more people, so they need to be. And it played out pretty well for them in the end as well.
Last question. What's your favorite non-pony related animation?
Like, do feature films count, or?
I think personally my favorite would have to be Cows and Cows and Cows from Syriac. Just because like it's really cool how like almost realistic they look. And then they
My favorite Flash animations, God, it's probably going to be a 3-way tie between there's so many Flash animators out there nowadays. There's like Spaz Kid, Ego Raptor, Chris O'Neill, Harry Partridge. I'd probably say one of my favorite things as of late has probably been something by Chris O'Neill. I'm a fan of like the Hellbender series, for instance. That's really funny. But as far as animated movies go, I'd probably say How to Train Your Dragon was probably one of my more favorite animated movies and such.
For me, I would have to say that the Hellbender's Christmas Special is my favorite animation.
I have really no pick for online independent animation or small studio animations because I love seeing that people are making animations. As far as movies, yeah, How to Train Your Dragon is good. Lilo and Stitch was one of my favorite classically animated movies. So.
I'm a big fan of Oni and G as well, and his Dragon Ball series is just, it cracks me up. It's honestly my favorite at this moment.
All right, I am a huge Harry Partridge fan. Like, I just love the way everything looks and everything feels. And as far as big production goes, Iwatobi Swim Club, or Free, that one swimming anime, that's my favorite.
Yeah, as far as internet fame, I like the Chris O'Neill, everything he's done.
Psychic Pebbles as well.
Yeah. Anime, I'd go with Steins Gate. It has great lighting effects, very good story too. And then big movie productions, I actually like Ratatouille is my favorite. I like the lighting effects. It's a very heartfelt story, and lighting effects is a big inspiration to me. I try to do as well as possible.
All right. I'm sorry, but we are now out of time. It is about just now 12:30.
Before we go really quick, any other Flash animators who are in here, why don't you guys also stand up and give yourselves a little...
Flash animators,
Yes,
PMV,
Flash animation
traditional, any animators. Let's see you. Let's see you.
You guys are awesome.
What about After Effects, bro? Come on, what?
You're doing. It's a courageous thing you're doing.
You guys understand our pain.
Yeah.
So, thank you all for coming. All these guys will be around, walk around the convention. I'm sure they're more than happy to answer any more of your questions if you have any.
All right.
Yep, we'll step outside so we don't get in the way of the next panel.
Thanks for coming out, guys.